There you go. Hey, Allison Verhalen here, coming at you live. And today I want to talk about a hot button issue that we're never supposed to talk about is politics in marketing. Good idea, terrible idea. That seems to be the two ways it can go. It's either a good idea or it's the worst thing ever. Don't even touch it. Don't even think about it. You will lose business. Your business will die. End of the world, or at least end of your business, right? It's like there's no in between. There's no way to make politics in your marketing work and not have it be one of two extremes. And the reason I wanted to discuss this is because I see it. I see brands getting increasingly political in their marketing. There are big brands we can talk about, Nike and Pepsi trying to be political and failing is the first thing that comes to mind. But the one I think of actually is Penzies, which is a smaller company. They are nationwide, I think, because they do have a website. It's penzies.com if you want to check them out. I buy spices from them. That's their thing is spices. Really good spices. They used to have a brick and mortar shop in my neighborhood. That brick and mortar shop closed down a while back, so I've been buying from them online. So if they're not all over the country, they're at least here in the Midwest, because I know they're based in Wisconsin. They have other locations in the Wisconsin, Chicagoland area. How far they've gone beyond that, I don't know. But when I signed up for their newsletter, again, this was ages ago, I noticed that in 2016, when a certain election happened, they got very political in their newsletter after the election, after the results came out. And I thought that was very interesting. They did report, I think, a few months, and that has not stopped. They are still political in their newsletter. They take a very strong political stance. They did report a few months after they started doing that. They said, yes, we lost some customers because of this. We also gained some customers. So in the end, it all evens out. So I do want to talk about pros and cons to including politics in your marketing. I'm not here to say that you should or should not do it. It's a good idea. It's a terrible idea. But there are pros and cons. And at the end of the day, whether or not it turns out to be a good idea for you or a bad idea for you is entirely dependent on you and your business. So pros to including politics in marketing: people increasingly want to support companies that align with their values. So I think there's a bit of a chicken and egg situation here as far as, did brands start including politics in their marketing and then consumers started demanding that in order to decide who they want to support? Or did consumers start saying, I really want to make sure a company aligns with my values before I buy from them? And then as a result of that, brands started including politics in their marketing. I'm not really sure which came first, but regardless, it doesn't really matter, right? Because at the end of the day, that's the reality that we're living in now, is that there are increasingly more and more people who want to make sure that they are supporting brands that align with their values, which means you have to talk about your values. So that's one pro. And then customer loyalty. If people know that your brand aligns with theirs, they're going to be that much more likely to keep buying from you, even if there's someone else who's selling something better or selling something at a lower price. If they feel that connection with you, and talking about your values is a great way to get people to feel that connection with you. So that can significantly increase customer loyalty. Again, your mileage may vary depending on your target audience, but that is one way to get that customer loyalty. And we all know that it's exponentially more expensive to get a new client rather than to hang on to an existing client, right? Like I said, Penzies lost some clients when they got political in their marketing, but they also gained new clients. So again, your mileage may vary with this one. Do you work closely with your clients? Again, Penzies, not so much. They, especially for someone like me who buys their stuff online, they can just put it in the mail and send it to me, and there's no interaction between me and another human being who works for Penzies. So my political affiliation doesn't really matter as far as how they're doing their job. But I work very closely with my clients. So if they do want to get really political in their marketing and their values are like really like polar opposites to my values, especially if it's something I feel very strongly about, that's going to be difficult for me to write about. So that I might have to pass on that. So that is something that, again, your mileage may vary. If you do work super close with your clients and that's an issue, then maybe you do want to be a little more selective as far as who you're working with and who you're not working with. If you're mass producing something and sending it out in the mail, doesn't really matter what you align with, right? You can just put it out there. Standing out from the crowd, my guess would be this is why someone started the including politics in their marketing, was because it's a way to stand out, right? And that at the end of the day, everything we do is in marketing is to get more eyeballs on your content, increase that brand awareness and that brand recognition. And if you say controversial stuff, which, I mean, let's be honest, what can anyone say that's not controversial these days? So stand out from the crowd. That's a great way to get more people to look at your content. And if it is controversial, people are more likely to spend time looking at that content, even if it really pisses them off. According to Facebook, they are even more likely to engage with and spend more time engaging with it if it enrages them, which is why we all get all upset when we go on Facebook for an extended period of time, right? And we look at all the stuff that that we hate, because that's what Facebook does. They see us engaging and spending more time with content, and especially if we post nasty comments on that comment, then that tells the algorithm that there's value in that content, and that increases the visibility of that particular post. So that's why people do it, because it works. Again, your mileage may vary with this. Again, if everyone is getting political, are you really standing out from the crowd anymore? Maybe not so much. So again, your mileage may vary with that, but that is, my guess would be that's why someone started doing it, is because it was just a way to get eyeballs on their content, and now it's turned into this whole monster that we cannot put back in the box. All right, so those are some of the pros. Some of the cons to including politics and marketing: limits your opportunities for expansion. Again, your mileage may vary with this. Maybe you're a small mom and pop shop. You like being a small mom and pop shop. You don't want to expand into a huge global brand. That's fine. Maybe you just want to serve a particular sector of your market, and that's it. You're done. I think about this in terms of Shark Tank. If anyone is a Shark Tank watcher like I am, anytime someone comes to the Sharks with a product, it doesn't matter how awesome the product is. If there is only one product, you're not going to get a deal, because the Sharks want to know that there are opportunities for expansion. What variations can we create on this product? What other markets are there that we can explore with this product or with related products? If you've only got the one product and there's no opportunities to grow from there, you're not going to get a deal on Shark Tank. So again, your mileage may vary. If you want to grow, keep that in mind, that maybe you want to eventually win over those people who are on the other side of the aisle from you, right? And also along with that is people who are politically agnostic, who are sick of hearing about politics and certainly don't want it in their shopping, much less everywhere else. So that you could be turning off people not only on the other side of the aisle, but people who are somewhere in the middle, who just don't care what your political affiliations are and might be annoyed if you insist on talking about it. The other con to including politics in marketing, I think at least, is that it might be contributing to this deepening divide in this country, because when we identify as right or left, and we only want to associate with people and brands who are aligned with that, and we don't want to talk to anyone or buy from anyone who is on the other side of the aisle, that's just increasing this echo chamber that we're all living in, and making it harder and harder for there to be that bipartisan conversation. I mean, I'm not even talking about bills getting passed, but just having a conversation is getting harder and harder. I know I was talking to someone yesterday, and Chick-fil-A came up, and all of a sudden I was like, I don't know what this person's political affiliations are. I don't know if I can talk about my issues with Chick-fil-A, right? Turned out we were totally on the same page, so it's fine. But like, a chicken sandwich is not something that should be political. This is something that I think has gotten so much harder to navigate just because the idea of what is political has gotten so touchy. I think, and I brought this up on LinkedIn. If you haven't seen my post over there, I created a poll and got some interesting comments there where people were like, yeah, if it comes to like, who did I vote for? No, I'm not going to talk about that in my marketing because that's no one else's business. But if it comes to social issues that I really care about, yeah, I'll talk about that in my marketing because I really care about that. And I think that is a perfect example of something that has been politicized that should not be politicized, because who you marry has no bearing on me. Who you're dating, who you're in bed with does not affect my life at all. So why that should be a big hot button issue is beyond me. Freedom of speech should be a basic human right in this country. That gets politicized. Murder gets politicized. Whether children have a right to be safe in schools gets politicized. This is another one I really don't understand. Protecting the planet for future generations has somehow become political. Like, how can we not just all agree that this is a good idea if we want to keep living here? It's not even a matter of right or left in my mind. It's just basic common sense. And yet it's been politicized. So anyone who doesn't want to hear about that will shoot you down and not even hear anything else that you have to say. So that's another example of the weird times that we're living in, because things are so political. Or maybe it's just the culture has gotten so political that there are these things that have become politicized that are not really political in nature, but we've twisted it. So at the end of the day, again, I'm not going to tell you whether or not to include this stuff in your marketing. I will say that I see a lot of rainbow flags in June coming from companies that never say anything about, rainbow flags or LGBTQ rights at any other time in the year. So that's another example where it seems like people are taking advantage of the politics and making it, just using it for their marketing when they're not really backing up what they're saying with anything else that they do in the rest of the year. But at the end of the day, know your audience. Again, I come back to that Pence's example because I think it's a great example. The majority of their audience was in line with their political beliefs, and they were able to keep surviving and even thriving as a company. So that worked out for them. If you know that your audience tends to sit in a different side of the aisle from you, maybe that's not something you have to talk about in your marketing. Maybe you can just talk about the product or service you provide and all the awesome benefits you provide to your customers and just leave it at that. So if you have any thoughts on this, I would love to hear it. Like I said, we've got some really interesting comments going in my LinkedIn post that I created. So would love to hear your thoughts. You can leave a comment here on this post. You can head over to my website, AV as in my initials, Allison Verhalen. That is avwritingservices.com. And you can always reach me directly by emailing me at info@avwritingservices.com. Thanks so much. Have a great weekend. Happy blogging, everyone.